Hello students. Today I will give an account on concept of essential drugs and rational use of drugs. So, first of all, we have to know what is essential drugs. So, essential drug concept was first evolved in the 28th World Health Assembly in 1975. The expert committee for this purpose was produced and they made an initial model list of essential drugs in 1977. Essential drugs are those that satisfy the healthcare needs of the majority of the population and they should therefore be available always in adequate amount and in the appropriate dosage form. Okay. The purpose of such model list is to extend the accessibility of the most necessary drug to those populations whose basic health needs cannot be met by the existing health system. And the lists in majority of the countries are stratified according to the different type of and required and expertise present at different levels of healthcare infrastructure of different countries. Okay. The lists are flexible enough to accommodate new drugs and newer information on the already established drugs. Action program on essential drugs was launched in 1981. Since then, a large number of countries have adopted an essential drug program. From all these points, we get to know that for any developed countries or any developing countries, all the countries have their own essential drug list. From that list, we can easily identify which are the essential drugs for the most of the populations. And this should be noted down and this should be remembered. Next. So these are the points under essential drug concept. The first point is cost effectiveness. Okay, so what is cost effectiveness? Many of the medicines on national list of essential drugs are of older date, means they are old and available as lower cost generics, generic medicines with their name only, not branded drugs. Okay, and it doesn't mean that they are less good than the more recent inventions. When it comes to pharmaceuticals, new is not necessarily better. That means if there is new come drug in the list, that doesn't mean it will be always better than the old drug already invented earlier. Okay. For optimum benefit of the whole population, a rigorously economical approach is required, in which drug therapy is viewed from the standpoint of cost effectiveness. More expensive doesn't necessarily mean better, and excellent drugs are often very cheap. The next point is optimum utilization of resources. So, we know in developing countries the resources are less than the developed countries. So, the resources should be utilized properly for optimum utilization. So, here what is they are telling that health facilities of the developing countries always have an immense demand for more drugs, which is actually or partially true. Developing countries spend 40% of their health resources on drugs. The concept of essential drug is invaluable in helping to contain costs without impairing the quality of care. So this is the third point, formularies on the basis of essential drug concept. The concept of essential drugs can also be used to develop a personal or a hospital formulary primarily directed to improve rational prescribing rather than a cartel cost. Okay. A new drug will only be included in the formulary when its therapeutic advantage can be clearly demonstrated or elaborated. Okay, the fourth point, conflict over its rigid implementation. Even though the concept and principle of an essential drugs list are excellent, its rigid implementation may highlight the conflict that sometimes arises between the needs of the society and those of the individual. Okay, so there is always a conflict between what the society needs and what a individual needs. So fifth point is drug consumption pattern. Okay, all countries are witnessing a steady increase in drug consumption. Should the conclusion be drawn that the people are therefore in better health? There is much evidence to cast doubt on this, and that is the reason for increased drug consumption lie rather in prescribing pattern and the attraction to the drugs. Okay, I think you have understand the points, you are understanding the points. Okay, so this is the point number 6, fewer drugs, better therapy. Unfortunately, the development in the modern pharmaceutical industry has failed to have a positive contribution in the way of better health. Rather, the therapeutic jungle created by the rapid development of newer drugs confuse the prescriber, which in turn in worsening the situation. As you know, because of because of the research and the advancement in the healthcare system, lots of drugs has been invented nowadays. So sometimes this large number confuses the prescriber or the physician to prescribe the particular drug for the particular situation. Okay, next is rational use of drug, and this is a very important point to know. Although such program improves the drug situation of a country in respect of providing essential drugs and its availability, the rate of irrational prescription of drug is high in all healthcare system. Okay, in all the countries. In developed countries, inappropriate and unnecessary prescription is placing a severe strain on healthcare budget and increasing the iatrogenic diseases. Whereas in developing countries, unnecessary use of non-essential medicines have the relatively high cost of many essential ones and impairs the delivery of healthcare. Okay, the main problems of irrational uses are excessive prescribing, inadequate prescribing, and incorrect prescribing. So, first point is criteria. The rational use of drug can only be achieved when the following points are properly compiled. Medicines should be prescribed only when they are essential. The proper selection of drug should be done. It must be prescribed at the right time and in correct quantity or dose. The patient should take drug according to the instructions by the pharmacist and by the physician or the prescriber. And the drug must be available in adequate amount. Okay, those are the criteria. So next point is factors influencing it. The factors that influence the prescribing behavior of the physicians include advertising, colleagues, regulatory measures, and demand from society and patients. Prescribing habits are also influenced by higher qualification, social position, age, and attitude of the patient. A medication, however good it is, if not accompanied by adequate spoken or written information, is liable to become a problem for the patient. The other factors influencing the therapeutic decision include efficacy of the drug, toxicity of the drug, ease of administration of the drug, convenience to the patient, and the severity of the condition being treated. Okay. The next point is before prescribing a new drug. Every medical graduate who are prescribing and the physicians should have the ability to judge whether the product is really a new chemical entity and a truly novel medicine, or whether it is a me too drug or a new formulation of an existing drug. Okay, they need to know how to evaluate and monitor drug therapy and what are the authentic sources of drug information about the drug. The next point is necessity of new disciplines. In this sector, the demand is generated by the prescriptions of the physicians, and so this demand can be modified or rationalized by educating the future physicians and doctors about the therapeutics, clinical pharmacology, pharmacoeconomics, and pharmacoepidemiology. Those are the subjects. Okay, the key element that future physicians should know is the principle of rational pharmacotherapy. Okay. The next point is limited list, standard treatment schedule, and general practice formulary. In a few developed countries, the introduction of limited lists reduces the drug expenditure to a significant degree without impairing the quality of care. Okay. Standard treatment schedule and a drug guide developed by consensus can also have a positive point in rational use of drug. A general practice formulary has also several anticipated benefits towards this rational use of drug. Okay, the next and last point of rational use of drug is medical representative and the physician, which is you can say one of the most important point under this. Okay, it is a shameful that an ordinary BA, BCom or BSc graduate student rather than a pharmacy graduate is able to swing a qualified physician. They can convince towards a dubious or uncertain benefit of the latest clone of a drug molecule. Okay, it is very shameful for us, all the pharmacists, then a BA become BSc pass student can get the job of medical representative and they deals with the drug, and they are going to the physicians, and physicians for their personal benefits and all, they are prescribing their drugs only, and for that rational use of drug is being hampered in very countries, like mostly in developing countries, and this should be stopped. Okay, the next topic is national drug policy. Why and what? So, the choice of a drug for an individual patient can raise complex, okay, clinical and pharmacological considerations. In the developing countries, particularly where resources are very limited, drug supply has to match the local health needs and should be based upon a variety of social and socio-economical considerations. These include the pattern of prevalent disease, the degree of development of the community, availability of pharma manufacturing facilities, availability and distribution of health services, and particularly of health workers with necessary skills in clinical diagnosis. These factors are interdependent. So, every country should have a national health policy. This will ensure the availability of essential drugs and its rational use at national level. And this is very necessary for every country. Every country should follow this. This is the reference. Thank you so much for being patient and listening to this. If you think this is helpful, please subscribe and like the video. Thank you so much.